The Author's Shelf.
The Author's Shelf.
The Author's Shelf. The Author's Shelf. It's about books and stuff.
Good afternoon, I'm Georgie Donaghy and welcome to another edition of The Author's Shelf. My guest today is the awesome children's author Adam Wallace. So sit back and relax as I bring you the stories beyond the page, right here on The Author's Shelf. It's time to introduce today's guest. Adam Wallace is the author of the famous Pete McGee series for the 8 to 14-year-old age group. Pete McGee was born with only one arm and dreams of becoming a great knight. But before that can happen, Pete must save his dying mother, take down an evil king, defeat a monster that is hundreds of years old and face his own fears. Just a day in the life of a wannabe knight. He's also the author of the very popular Better Out Than In and Better Out Than In #2s. Both are truly gross but a must-have. His computer is packed with unpublished stories, limericks and poems. 2 of these stories will be available later this year. Jamie Brown is Not Rich with Ford Street Publishing, which is due out next month. And Adam also has another one which is still hush-hush, although I'm going to try and get him to reveal a little bit more in the show. His book, The Share a Knot, is on the New South Wales Premier's Reading Challenge list for grades 3 to 4 level and the Victorian Premier's Reading Challenge list for Prep 2 level. You'll find most authors now on either Facebook and or Twitter. Adam chooses YouTube videos rather than getting bogged down with Facebook and Twitter, although he does dabble in them from time to time. Adam Wallace, welcome to The Author's Shelf.
Thank you very much for having me, Georgie.
Now, I had to pull the plug on last week's show, I apologise, and I had a whole list of Easter jokes. So, as many people have probably got the Easter hangover, I think we should continue with the jokes because it's still April. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right.
I've got some here too, so I'm ready to go.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Okay, well then I'm going to throw the first one at you because I know you've authored a joke book or two and I thought Easter jokes would be excellent to share with you.
I've got some very terrible, corny ones ready to go.
Okay, all right. Here's mine.
Okay.
Here's my first one. Why shouldn't you tell an Easter egg a joke?
I have no idea.
It might crack up.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Serious question time now. Adam, my standard first question for my guests is asking them what is their story. So please tell us in 2 words only, what is the Adam Wallace story? No. Okay. Okay. You can have 3. No. All right. Take as many as you like, but remember we only have an hour.
Okay. I'll try and keep it as short as possible.
Okay.
So I was born in 1972. No, I won't go that far back.
No, not that far.
No. So I guess my story in terms of basically I went to school. I studied engineering, became an engineer. Then I studied teaching and became a teacher, and eventually fell into writing with a number of jobs in between as well, and have been writing full time for about 5 years now, and that's it. I'm found the career of choice, I think. So. All
right. Now, so tell me, how many years have you been writing?
It's an interesting one, actually, because I wrote all through school and loved writing at school, and then had quite a bad experience in Year 12 where my teacher and I disagreed on what sort of style I should write in, and I ended up having to write in a style that I absolutely hated, but which got me better marks. And so I thought to myself, if that's what writing is, I don't want to write. And so I didn't write for another 10 years after that. I just totally stopped any creative writing at all, apart from birthday cards, basically. So I started again back in 1999 and have sort of written with a vengeance since then and realised what I've been missing. So from then, so probably about 14, 15 years seriously writing now.
So did you take your teacher a copy of your first book and say, no?
No, but I invited my Year 11 teacher who liked my stories to the launch and didn't invite my Year 12 teacher. So, and they both taught at the same school, so that was my little petty vengeance.
Oh, very good. All right. So you've been writing on and off all your life, so I guess you've always known that you wanted to be a writer.
I always knew that I wanted to create stuff, I think, but I never that's a good word. But I never really I don't think I even knew it was going to be writing children's books. There's always, like, my grandmother wrote children's books, and my dad used to write little funny notes, and there's all sort of creativity in the family, and I love that. But yeah, I was one of those kids that was a bit of a drifter and never really knew what I wanted to do as a career, which is why I sort of fell into engineering and things like that. So,
as you do when you don't know what you want to do, fall into engineering.
Exactly. And they actually said that in the first lecture. The lecturer got up and he goes, I know that most of you fell into this, and I also know that 50% of you will be gone by the end of the first year. So that was our first lecture. So
wow.
Yeah, you're good at maths, you're good at science, you do engineering basically back in those days. So and it was great. I mean, I didn't like the course, but I liked uni, and I got 12 years good full-time work and good friends out of it. So it was worth doing, but it was never going to be, my passion or the career I wanted to do for my whole life. So yes, I didn't always know I wanted to be a writer, but I knew there was something there that I knew I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and there was something sort of burning at me, and it turned out to be writing.
There was a creative little spark, but you just didn't know.
And even in things like birthday cards, like I'd always write little poems on people's birthday cards and stuff like that. So it was always there, but never clicked in my head that I could transfer that to books.
So those people that have Adam Wallace signed birthday cards I should be flogging them off on eBay right now.
Absolutely. Worth millions.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I'll tell you when my birthday is later in the show, Adam. Okay. Now, originally you're a self-published author. Yep. So tell us about your self-publishing experience, because a lot of people say self-publishing is a dirty word, or if you're self-published, you're not really published.
Yeah.
So tell us your experience.
Well, first up, I think I know people definitely say that, and I've just found that that's totally not true, that if you're self-published, you're published. I mean, regardless of who does it, if a book's out there and people are reading it and liking it, or even if they're reading it and not liking it, it's a published book. So
as long as they buy it.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I mean, and people that have self-published, like, Mark Twain and Andy Griffiths and all these people that have done their own books, that, I think it's changing as well these days with sort of the advent of, Kindle publishing and all that sort of thing. The sort of independent writer is becoming a bit, there's good ones. There's still the bad ones coming out, which may sort of affect it as well. But anyway, I'm babbling. Back to my experience. Sorry, Helen, we got an hour?
Yes, I've got less than that now. But anyway, okay, yeah. I'll just hang up on you when we're ready to cut you off.
Yeah, right. That's fine. It happens a bit to me, so that's all right. I basically had gone... After I'd started writing again in 1999 and I'd started sending books out, I'd gone for about 5 years and basically just rejection after rejection after rejection, and some got close and some didn't. And I was working in a school at the time in before and after care and reading the stuff to the kids I'd written, and they were really enjoying it and asking for more. And I thought, well, there's obviously something there, and I wanted a book with my name on it. And I thought if I could self-publish and then take that to publishers, then, and after, I could say I've sold X amount of copies, then that might be an in. So, back in that, that was 2004. I just basically wrote it up myself. Found an illustrator on the internet who was Heath McKenzie, who has since gone on to much bigger and better things as well. And we sort of teamed up, and I just, through someone else, found a publisher in Hawthorne and got it printed, 2,000 copies printed there, and then started trying to sell them after that. So, I've found I still self-publish now. I've got some how to draw books that I do that I still self-publish because no one had sort of taken them on, and yet I've sold over 60,000 copies. So there's obviously something to them, but sometimes publishers look at them and say, we don't know how to market these. But yet if you can publish it and get it out and sell it, there's often an audience for it. So, and I found pluses and minuses to both self-publishing and being traditionally published. With self-publishing, you obviously have to do everything yourself, which takes time away that you could be writing. But at the same time, you have control over things, and your margin is much higher as well. So, there's sort of pluses and minuses, but I've found it fantastic. And in terms of people I'm selling to, it generally hasn't been seen as a bad thing that I've done it myself. And in fact, because I go to markets, a lot of them will say, do you just publish it yourself? And are actually surprised when I say that I do some through a traditional publisher but still sell myself. So they sort of expect that it's going to be self-published now these days. So.
Oh, very good. So when you say you wanted to see your name on a book, you could no longer cross out Andy Griffith's name with a black texture and write your name over the top?
Look, it worked for a little while, worked for a couple of months, but then...
He got wind of it and, yes, he came after you.
Yeah, the lawyers came and
okay.
Yeah, the guys come in to break my thumbs, so I thought I'd better stop.
Yeah, you better change what you're going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Now, what was your first published book?
The first one I self-published was actually a version of Better Out Than In. Just a little skinny 44-page version of that. And then my first book through a traditional publisher was actually Better Out Than In republished. It was reworked. Heath did another 60-odd illustrations, and we got a new cover and a new layout. And, so that became my first self-published and first traditionally published book.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Are you ready for another joke?
Okay.
All right. How do you catch the Easter Bunny?
I don't know.
Hide in a bush and make a noise like a carrot.
No. Okay, can I do one as well?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, along those same lines, what jewellery does the Easter Bunny wear?
Oh, I don't know.
14-karat gold.
Oh, very good. Welcome back. You're listening to The Author's Shelf. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I'm chatting with Adam Wallace. Adam, what's your writing style? Are you a pen and paper guy, or do you like to tap away at the keyboard?
It's changed over the years. When I started, it was full just pen on paper. And these days, I find I do a little bit of both, because if I'm on a train or something, I'll just be writing as I'm on the train, or if I'm somewhere and waiting for someone, I'll start writing pen on paper. But in terms of actually writing at home, I write very much in a stream of consciousness fashion, and I find that if I'm writing with pen and paper, my writing can't actually keep up with my thoughts, the story coming out, and where I can actually type a lot quicker than I can write by hand. So, I find these days I generally do it on the computer and tap it out. But, I do like writing by hand, but just in terms of getting the thoughts down and not having to wait for my hand to catch up, I do it on the computer.
Are you a really fast two-finger typist, or can you type properly?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
That's probably about 4 fingers, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, when you're starting a story, do you make notes, or do you just sit down and start? Do you plan it out? What do you do?
Yeah, generally just I'll get in and just start writing. Usually my main thing is having a character and sort of a bit of an idea. I sometimes write notes, but generally just have it in my head of what the character is, or who the character is, I should say, and in terms of where the story starts and ends, and that's pretty much it. Like, I think in this last scene, I want him to win in this particular way, and then basically just go from the start to the end and see how I get there. But what I'll then do is, at the end of the story, once I've written it, I'll go back, and for each scene, I'll do just a little summary of each scene, why I wrote it, is it a positive or negative for the character, why is it funny if I'm writing a comedy, and so I almost do the planning after, if that makes sense. And then
yes, it does.
And I find that really breaks it down, and I can get to some scenes and go, this is what happens, why does it happen? And I'll go, well, I have no idea, it doesn't, and so I can just scrap it from there. So I'll find that if I just write it, I get everything out, and then can just sort of cut it back and work on it from there.
That's so good to hear, because I find I write that same way, and I find people who ask me, and I say, well, I don't storyboard and plan it out, and they kind of look at me like, I'm missing an arm or a leg, or I've got a big growth coming out the top of my head. I get an idea, I get a character, I get the start of the story, I wait till that character starts telling me their story, and then I just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good to hear there's another person out there who's insane like I am.
Yeah, we're all a little bit insane.
We are.
But the good thing is
eccentric, us writers, yes.
Yeah, that's right. But Stephen King, and it was a while ago I read his book on writing, was fantastic. But my memory of that is he does a similar thing. Like he'll have the ending in mind and the cat work a few certain points of the story, but then he'll just write it and just see where it goes. And I actually had a story I had a character one time and an idea for a story that I wanted to do, and I didn't start writing it because I'd applied for funding for it, and you're not meant to start till November type thing. And I was finding I was really struggling with other stories because I had this story in my head, and so I thought, well, I'll plan it out. And so I ended up doing it was 5 books, and I wrote about 12,000 word plan for it, like all the characters, what happens in each book, all the themes, all this
That's
sort
a
of
big
stuff.
plan, 12,000 words.
And then when I sat down to write the story, I had nothing. Like, I just sat down and the story just didn't come together, and I found that I really struggled to actually put the story together, and whether it's because I don't know if it's because I did the plan, but since then I just think I'll just write it, because then if I just sat down and just written it, when I wrote the plan, I reckon the whole story would have just flowed out. So.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. I find that the best way, because then I go back and edit it, and I say, and I think to myself, okay, I have to write this bit coming up next, and then I read what I've written, and I thought, oh, okay, I've already done that.
Yes.
Wow, did I really write that? It's really good.
Isn't that the best feeling?
I know. I'm reading this. Who's written this? Oh, it was me.
Exactly. And then sometimes I'll do that and think that's awesome. But sometimes I'll read stuff I've written and go, have I just copied that from something I've remembered from something I read ages ago? Because it feels like it must be someone else's writing.
I know. Now, if only publishers would feel the same way about all the things that we write as we do.
Exactly.
Okay. What books did you enjoy reading growing up?
It's a little while ago now. But I was lucky. My dad left when I was quite young, and I actually had his place now. And my stepdad was a teacher librarian who lived with me from when I was 4 till about 12 or 13. So we had books throughout the house constantly. Had heaps and heaps of books, but my main ones were sort of the obvious ones around that time. There was Roald Dahl and Dr. Seuss.
Right.
Also Bill Peet, who fantastic, and who I actually just went searching, because I had none of his books in my library at home, and so I went searching and found 4 of his books, so I'm starting to build up my Bill Peet collection again now, and love his stuff still. So they're probably the 3 main ones, I think. And then I was a bit of a kid who didn't get scared, and I don't get of things now in terms of movies and books, so I sort of was reading horror stories from when I was about 10, 12, and James Herbert, I read all of his books when I was younger as well, so including Fluke, which is about a guy who gets reincarnated as a dog, and it's fantastic. I read that about 30 times, I reckon.
That sounds familiar, that story.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, if you could co-write a book with another author, either dead or alive, who would it be? Well,
we spoke of Andy Griffiths before, and he's a bit of my hero and my idol. So I'd love to write something with him. I think that'd be fantastic. So and he's been really generous to me. I wrote to him when I was sort of starting out and asked him advice, and he was really generous with his advice. And when I've caught up with him a couple of times, he's always been fantastic and helpful and generous as well. So I'd love to sit down, and because my books are sort of similar style to his as well, I think
it's time for
really get something good going there. So Andy, if you're listening.
Yes, well, you need to start. I think you need to start the bribery there, and just start sending him things, and just hope that he doesn't think that you're actually stalking him.
Well, that's right. And there was the whole lawyer thing when I'd crossed out his name, so I started off on the wrong foot. So
change your name, I think. Change your name and reapproach.
That's right. A little change of hairstyle, everything. Yeah.
My guest today is author Adam Wallace. Adam, welcome back.
Thank you.
I have another joke. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What's the best way to send a letter to the Easter Bunny?
Oh, I have no idea.
Hair mail.
Oh, no. Very good. And I have one as well.
All right, go.
How does the Easter Bunny stay fit?
Oh, I had this one and I cut it. I can't remember the answer, though.
He does exercise and aerobics.
That's right. I think we were looking at the same jokes, Adam. That was the top joke, wasn't it, on the list?
Yep, sure was.
But, okay, we're looking at the same site. All right. You might get the answers to the later ones then. All right, where do you get your story ideas?
Oh, look, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. I think that it took a little while, but once I really got into writing, I realised that there are just sort of ideas everywhere. So, things like the Pete McGee series, the first one I wrote of that actually came from a line in my favourite song, where I heard the line and I just went, that would be awesome as a song of a soundtrack to a movie. Like, there'd be a great scene could go around that line, and basically the whole book was based around that scene that would happen with that line of that song, so writing to get to that and then from there onwards. So so there's that. Sometimes a lot of times, because I do school visits, there'll be things kids say. There'll just be little things that sort of click in and I go, that would be really cool. And the ones I wrote to share or not, and those ones were basically, because I grew up on Dr. Seuss, I wanted to do sort of a rhyming story with a bit of a message, and so just wrote down a whole list of words that were important to me and sort of came up with sharing and health and exercise and positivity, and wrote stories based around that. So pretty much anywhere. And then sometimes there'll be suggestions from kids, like they'll say, can you write a story about this? And I go, yeah, okay. So, and it sort of goes from there. So, sort of all different things, really.
So you write it in your little black book and you take it back home with you and you start tapping away on the keyboard?
Absolutely. I've written stuff on shopping dockets. I've written stuff, I actually wrote one time on my steering wheel because I had no paper, and I had a text us in there, and I wrote a little note on my steering wheel as I was at a red light. So.
Have you sold that car?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, actually, it got written off. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. I was going to say to you, but I thought you probably haven't had this problem. What do you do when you run out of paper in your handbag? Because I've had that problem before. But I'm thinking that you haven't had that problem with running out of paper in your handbag. And if you have, I don't want to know. Yeah. So I'll move on to
let's not go there.
I'll move on to the next question. Okay. What advice would you give to up-and-coming authors?
I mean, it's probably fairly sort of common advice, I guess. I mean, there's always the persistence and that sort of thing, but I guess for me, it's just write and write and write and write, and just the more you write, the more you find your style, and the more you find the things you like writing about, and read as well, because as you read, I find that I've written stories that later, after I've written them, I'll read something about the hero's journey, and I'll find this structure of a story and realise that I've followed it almost exactly without even knowing what it was. And I think that's from reading a lot of books and watching films and just finding that structure. So, I mean, reading and writing that's what it is. You're going to be an author. It's going to be books and you're going to write. So I think the more you can read and write, the better. And also just asking advice of other authors. Like as I wrote to Andy Griffiths and just said, can you give me some advice? And he wrote back this really nice email. And I just found that, I don't know about books for adults, but certainly in the children's book circle, the children's author circle, other authors are just so generous with their help and advice and recommendations and all that sort of thing. So I think, ask people who are where you want to get to. If you ask them, then that's a good source, I think.
One big happy family.
Absolutely.
All right, tell us about Pete McGee.
Who? No. Pete McGee is, it's funny, my wife read the Pete McGee books just recently, and she was reading the first one, she goes, Pete McGee is really like you. And I realised that he did have a lot of my traits in him, but Pete McGee's actually the person I would like to be, I think. So he's got a lot of my traits, but he's also a lot better. He's got a lot of traits that I would actually like to have. So, he's a one-armed boy who wants to be a knight, and, so basically he goes on a quest to save his mother in the first book, and then he's training to be a knight and has to face zombie knights in the second, because they have to get zombies in there somewhere, and, he's basically a brave, loyal, funny kid.
Did you intentionally make him one-armed? Where did that idea come from?
And I knew I wanted to have him up against it from the start. So I was just going to do him as a skinny kid, and it actually started out as a little poem. And when I was writing the poem, just suddenly he had one arm, and it wasn't deliberate, it wasn't anything I'd sort of planned or anything. It just came out. He was doing something, and it was really hard, and I just realised it's because he's only got one arm. He can't do it as easily as anyone else. So he has the one arm, and he was born with just one arm, but it's something that I've really tried to have. It's not something I've really sort of put out there. Like, he has the one arm, it causes him problems every now and again. It actually saves his life at one stage, only having the one arm, but it's not a focus of the story. It's more just something that's there, because I didn't want to make it the real focus. The adventure's the focus, he just happens to have one arm.
Okay, all right, we're going to take a short break.
99.7
2SRFM.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Author Shelf on 2SR 99.7 FM. Now, Adam, you were going to tell us a little bit about your new book, Jamie Brown is Not Rich.
Yeah, this is it's a first in a number of ways. It's the first book I've done with Ford Street Publishing, which I'm very excited about. But it's also the first book that I have written and illustrated. Very, very excited about that. It was 260 illustrations, so it was a nice big job to start with. But it's also exciting because it's actually, Jamie Brown is named after one of my best friend's sons, who actually had read other stories of mine that were pitched at his age group just to see what he thought, and he read them, he wrote notes through them, he did a little review at the end of it, and he was only 7 or 8 at the time, so I was really rapt and wanted to sort of reward him in some way. So yes, I named this character after him. So he's very excited as well. Yes, I'm very excited. So it's out in May, and basically an illustrated chapter book. And again, in terms of ideas, I've always wanted to do a fish out of water story. So I love things like the Beverly Hillbillies. I love Happy Gilmore. So I wanted to do that sort of story. So yes, it's about a very, very poor family who end up inheriting some money, becoming rich, and moving to the snobby suburb and trying to fit in.
Okay, thanks. And we actually have 2 copies to give away on the show, and I will tell you very shortly how you can be in the running to win one of those 2 copies. Adam, what are you working on at the moment?
A couple of little things. I actually want to start trying to develop some ideas for TV. So sort of either a series. I'm also working on some ads, so just basically picking a company and writing some ads for it to try and get that sort of thing going. But also, not that it's a definite it's going to happen or anything, but I decided to write a sequel to Jamie Brown Is Not Rich, so I've been writing that as well. So that's been sort of a big focus. And one of those ones, again, where I wrote the whole story out and actually got to the end and went, I don't know if it's quite working. So I went back and did the scene breakdown and I'm now rewriting it, and it's sort of coming together. So I did a fair chunk this morning and, much happier with it now. So, that's probably the main thing. And then, trying to think of some ideas and just sort of brainstorming ideas for TV as well.
Well, I've had another idea while we've been talking.
Okay.
You want to get Andy Griffiths to co-write a book with you.
Yep.
So I think you should write a book, and it's something entitled like I Am Not Andy Griffiths, and that should get his attention.
Absolutely.
And then you could just write something, that Andy would love, but I am not Andy Griffiths. So you're promoting him, but you're the author. There you go.
Fantastic.
You can take that idea.
I'll
You're probably just you're just going to flush it right now, but that's okay. Okay, thanks for joining me this afternoon on the Author Shelf. My guest today is author Adam Wallace. Adam, what's the best piece of advice, writing advice you've been given?
Well, again, actually speaking of Andy Griffiths, it actually came from him. I know.
I'm going to have to pay this man royalties. We are. I'll have to get him on the show, I think.
I know.
We're going to have to pay him royalties, yes.
Exactly. No, look, basically, I think it was either when I was chatting to him or when he first replied to the letter I'd written him, and he said, look, you can do all these different things, but basically get your writing as good as it can be. Just work on your writing as much as you can, get it as good as it can be, and things will happen. It's not going to be ignored forever. And it fitted in. I'd read a book about Steve Martin, the comedian, and a line he said was, be so good they can't ignore you. And I think it's a similar type thing of just getting, if the writing gets to a good enough stage, it'll get noticed by someone. If you're putting it out there, then it'll get noticed. So, yes, I think that's it. Just it's about the writing, basically.
Very good. Okay, I like that. I like that advice. All right, are you ready for another joke?
I am.
Why was the Easter Bunny so upset?
Oh, I didn't write this one down off that site, so I don't know.
He was having a bad hair day.
Oh, no.
All right, have you got one? If you got one for me, I'm ready. I've got my eyes closed.
Okay.
I'm ready for the punch. Go.
Okay, here we go. What bedtime stories does the Easter Bunny like?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Ones with a hoppy ending.
Very good. Okay.
Quality.
All right, tell us about your Better Out Than In series. And this is truly gross, so we should have, one of those warnings on the show right now. I apologise to all our listeners. If you can't handle the gross, go and make a cup of coffee, but you'll miss a great story. So, Adam, tell us about Better Out Than In.
Okay, I'll try and keep it as tame as possible, but...
No, don't. Just let it rip. Go for it.
Let's go let it rip, so to speak.
Yes.
Basically, the first Better Out Than In it's 6 short stories, all in rhyme, all gross and disgusting. So there's Valerie's vomit and Peter's pimple and Bob's burp and Eric's earwax and Nancy's nose. And basically that one I wrote when I was working in aftercare, and I'd written a couple of stories of the 6 at the time and was reading different things to the kids. And I read other ones, they go, yeah, we like it, no, we don't. And I read these, and I think it was the fart and the vomit story. And they were just like, yes, you've got to write more of those. And they were just so excited. They'd write one about earwax and write one about this. So it developed from there. And Yeah, so that was my first book, and that's gone really well, The Better Out Than In, and yeah, so it took me about 8 years, and I went through a stage where people would say, "Oh, have you got another book like Better Out Than In?" And I'd say, "Oh, this one's sort of like, and this one isn't." And after about 8 years, I went, "I really should just write another one." So yeah, I did Better Out Than In number 2s, and that again has 6 short stories, so the same characters, different situations, with lots of disgusting pictures from Heath, and yeah, they're all in rhyme, so they were really fun to write, and stories that I just sort of thought I'd see if I could push the boundaries, how far I could go, and most of it got through, so that was really good.
I love the play on words for Better Out Than In number 2s. Yeah. I think that's very, very clever.
Thank you. It took me a while to come up with that. I was thought of all these different titles, and then I went, oh, it's the second book, number 2.
Yeah. and you say number 2 to kids, you know, and they just start cracking up.
Yeah, exactly. And so do I. So yeah.
I was going to ask you actually, how do you road test your stories before submitting them to publishers? But you've already told us that already by testing it out with the kids. So I'm going to ask you instead: do you ever suffer from writer's block?
Not. I guess it is in a way. I find that not writer's block in that I sit down and nothing comes out because I sort of write stream of consciousness, and there's a great book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which I recommend to anyone who is in any creative field. And one thing she talks about is doing morning pages. So each morning you get up and you just write for 10 minutes. Whatever pops out of your head, you just sit down and you write for 10 minutes. And it could be about what you're going to do for the day. It could be a story. It could be anything at all. And at the end of it, you don't have to use anything. And I think at the end you go back after a number of weeks and read through them, and you might get a bit of story out of it. But anyway, so I write that way. So even if I'm sitting there and I don't have an idea, I'll just start writing, and I'll just sort of write stuff out. So the writer's block I get, I guess, is writing a story and getting sort of 2/3 of the way through and going, yeah, it's not working for me. And I'll get to a stage I think this story just isn't going to work, and so I'll sort of put it aside and go to something else. So yeah, often the writer's block is not so much not being able to write something, but not liking what I've written, I guess.
So I think rather than writer's block, maybe creatively challenged.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds like the politically correct way.
Your community, your station, 2SR.com.au.
When you're not writing, what do you do to relax?
I often take a nap, which is very relaxing. No, I go for walks a lot. Where I'm lucky, I live sort of near the Yarra River, and we've got the Yarra Trail, so I can sort of walk through the parks and just get a bit of fresh air. I used to play a lot of golf, but unfortunately I haven't played a lot of that recently. But I'd love to get back into that. And sometimes I'll just sort of stick some music on and dance around the house, basically, which has led to various broken doors, a broken finger, and things like that as well. So I don't do that too much because we're renting and I can't damage the house too much. So.
Okay, I'm not sure if I want to know what sort of dancing you're doing with getting things broken.
There's a lot of spinning. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next question, moving right along. Now, you've told us about your engineering short career.
Yep.
So I guess the question I had for you is, if you hadn't chosen to be an author, what would you do? Well, I guess it would have been an engineer.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, which is pretty boring. But if I had a dream job, at one stage I wanted to be a professional golfer. So even when I was engineering, I took 3 months off work at one stage and just played golf full time, which was awesome, and then ran out of money and went back to work, and that was sort of the end of that. So it would probably be something, well, if not something creative, but I mean, I guess I do that anyway, it would be something to do with sport, I think, because I love sport. So either commentating or writing about sport or...
So your dream job would be writing a book with Andy Griffiths?
Well, that would be really cool.
Okay.
That'd definitely be my... Yeah, yes.
So we rename the book, the idea I gave you before, and you have one called Andy Griffiths Does Not Play Golf.
Exactly.
You can just take this anywhere you like, can't you, really?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay. All right, I've been chatting with Adam Wallace today. Sadly, we have come to the end of another show. thanks for chatting with us, Adam. Sorry, we had lots more to talk about, but we're at the end, and the good people tell me that I have to. They're running their hand across their throat and saying cut. So I have one more joke for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What do you call a rabbit that tells good jokes?
Oh, I haven't got that one either. I have no idea.
A funny bunny.
No, nice. Okay, you ready for my last one?
All right, go.
What do you call the Easter bunny the day after Easter?
Worn out?
Oh, yeah, tired.
Oh, okay, there you go. And I actually didn't. I was just having a guess there. All right, I'll throw one more question at you.
Okay.
And considering you've told me that you dance around and you have had broken body parts,
Yep.
how do you celebrate when you finish a manuscript? Is it a full intensive care?
That's right. Week in therapy.
Yeah.
No, you know what? It's something I've been thinking about recently that I actually don't, and I really should. Like, I'll sort of finish it and then say, oh, yeah, that's done. That's fantastic. And then I'll just sort of start on the next one, or I'll move on. But I think, I've been thinking recently, I really would like to have a little ceremony, like do a little something, like, a bottle of champagne or something. So, yeah, nothing at the moment, but I'm going to start. So I'll have to come back to you on that one.
Maybe like a rock star and you can pick up your laptop and smash it on the ground.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Very expensive.
I don't have a laptop. My wife does, so I can smash hers.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cool.
If you'd like to find out more about this awesome author, visit, and he loves the word awesome. I had to throw it into the show. Visit his website, www.adam-wallace-books.com. Wallace is spelt WALLACE. If you miss a show, not to worry, you can now listen to all our interviews via the Creative Kids Tales website. Log on to creativekidstales.com.au and click on the microphone on our homepage. Adam, thanks very much for being our guest today. We hope you've had fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was awesome. Thank you very much.
Oh, there you go. All right, Andy Griffiths, if you're listening.
Andy, get on it. We're going to write a story.
Okay, I should have given you time to do a little sales pitch, shouldn't I? Okay.